Dave Hogshead here for Practical Shorin-ryu. So I'm continuing my little series here on sort of supplementing our training using the focus mitts. So I've got some applications for Fukyugata ni, what is called in Matsubashi, or in Goju-ryu it's often called gekisai, gekisai ichi. So I'm going to be looking at how we can practice some practical applications for this kata, Fukyugata ni or gekisai ichi, using the target mitts. Again, I've got some of these ideas from definitely big inspiration from Lee Morrison, who's just wicked smart, sick when it comes to using the target mitts for self-defense training, but also Ian Abernathy, who's developed his own kata, Tendoku kata, using the target mitt. So I definitely recommend that you check out his app and that particular kata. So this is some information and some possible ways of training some practical bunkai applications for Fukyugata ni or gekisai ichi. This is the first opening movement where basically you have a high block step punch, a pivot back into a side stance and low block. So the opening movement to Fukyugata ni or gekisai ichi looks something like this. And again, it might be a little bit different from Goju-ryu and Matsubashi. I'm doing it from the Matsubashi-ryu way. Alright, so you notice that it opens up, at least the way I'm performing it in Matsubashi. You have this right hand is coming up into the high block. So I'm thinking of this hand coming up as kind of a flinch response. So the application I'm going to be exploring here is a while loopy punches come in, or you've kind of lost control of the fight or whatever, and you're throwing that hands up in order to just sort of check those strikes, figure out what's going on. You feel that strike coming in, so you're going to pull that hand down so you know what this hand is. You're going to move towards what you know, away from what you don't know. His head's here, so you're going to pull this arm down, use that high block motion to strike the neck, the hikate, controlling the limb. So that's the application we're looking at. There are other applications, but that's the one we're going to look at. Another one, for example, that Ian Abernathy talks about is a lapel grab, right? You're using that high block to defend against lapel grab. But here we're looking at basically this punches are coming in, so you're using this opening sort of motion as a kind of flinch response. So you got the flinch response, you've grabbed that arm, you're striking his throat, and then from here, you're off to the side away from his other striking arm. You're then going to pull this arm across, twisting his body up, step in, punch to his head. From here you're going to grab that shoulder, that hikate is going to be fading backwards into that low block, into that low side stance. The low block is going to be a hammer strike to the back of his head. So as you're grabbing that shoulder, pulling back into that side stance, that dropping into the side stance is going to give you extra power to pull him off balance, lean him forward, and as you're coming back, striking in the back of his neck. Now if you notice, at least in the way we do it in Matsubashi, on the second side, right, you've got here, as you're stepping back, there's a little bit of a shuffle, kind of a slide. I'm interpreting that as a kind of a sweep. So another thing you can think about is as you've done a flinch response, striking his neck, controlling this limb, twisting his body up, getting his posture off like this, twisting the body up, punching, as you're grabbing that shoulder, that front foot, what you could do as you're pulling forward is sweep, right? So you're sweeping, causing more disruption of his posture. Possibly he falls, but in the very least, that stretches his stance out even further, getting him leaned over, setting him up for that strike to the back of his head. So that's the basic bunkai I'm thinking about. How might we work that using the target mitt? All right, so to start off, just for the sake of following the direction of the kata, that first motion is here. So we're going to use the target mitt here. So as the technique comes in, flinch response, and you have to do a lot of visualization here. So this hand is going to be wrapping the arm up, but it also becomes the target, right? So I'm flinch response, wrapping the arm up, but then I'm going to put it in front for the strike against his throat. Okay? From here, I'm twisting that arm, I'm grabbing the crook of his arm as I step in and punch. I'm going to step in and do, in this case, basically a palm heel strike. All right? From there, I'm going to grab the shoulder. As I fade back into my low side stance, I'm going to pull him forward. That will get him to lean over. He should be leaning over like this now for the hammer fist on the back of the head and back away. So again, flinch response, wrapping the arm up, striking, controlling that limb, stepping in, palm heel strike, grabbing the shoulder, and striking the back of his head back away. All right, again. And again, you can strike multiple times. The first little set I did like 2 strikes. This one I did 1 strike, whatever you want. Right? So then you can work that to both sides, back and forth. Again, a nice little application, a little drill where you're using the target mitts to do some solo practice on practical bunkai for the opening sequence for Fukyugata ni or gekisai ichi.